right away into game number 1. I believe the players have already started. So Kira, let's talk about Max and Brian playing Frogtide and Necrodomiance.
Oh, I don't think Max is playing Frogtide. That looked like Jeskai Control to me.
Oh. All right, so it looks like Jeskai. So tell me a little bit what we could expect from Max's side here. It looks like Max was on the play this game.
So this looked like a pretty standard Jeskai Control list where you have like a control energy package with your tuna narrative, your galvanic discharges, and your big payoff is going to be the Wrath of the Skies and the Flages that will hopefully close out the game. There's still like the pitch elementals as you know it, the subtlety, the solitude, and a max goal here to do what control deck do best, counterspell. And
it looks like on the flip side though, Brian is playing the namesake card of his own deck. Necrodomiance hits the battlefield.
Yeah, so this Necrodomiance deck is basically a big Mono Black deck. We're trying to resolve Necrodomiance, which is a retrain of the good old Necropotence. And actually, Brian told me the reason he's playing this deck because he's just want to live out his childhood dream of casting Necropotence. There's tons of things you can get.
Yeah, well, we do see here that win condition coming up from Max's side. The Flage hits the battlefield and then immediately hits the graveyard, thanks to the sacrificing clause. Now, Flage is one of those titans that was printed in Modern Horizons 3. This one's a bit of a lightning helix.
Yeah, so Flage here is pretty impactful in this matchup. Just attacking Brian's life total really make his Necrodomiance a lot less effective. Unless he can find a way to gain life, like something like a Soul Spike or maybe a Shoulder. So Flage, Helix Brian for 3 and pass it back to Brian. Let's see what he got here.
It's like talking to him into Thoughtseize. So we get to see what Max is working with. Looks like a pair of subtleties and a One Ring.
Yeah, so this is a pretty standard control, Jeskai controllers. There are a few players locally that do forgo the One Ring and some pitch elemental in favor of a dress down no drifter package, but you can see here Max is I think is on a standard version of Jeskai Control.
Sort of the tried and true classic as the Necrodomiance gets cast again over here.
So the Thoughtseize open up the way for Brian to resolve this Necrodomiance, but he's in a pretty low life total. Can't really take a full advantage of it. We'll see what Brian will be able to do. And the Flage, he can't go too low here. So maximum he can draw is 6 cards to not just immediately die to the Flage.
Looks like just paying 2 life, so Thoughtseizing himself, but this time it's drawing 2 cards, so I guess it's more like a Sign in Blood effect there.
Yeah.
But just passing the turn back to Max, you mentioned Flage, of course, with the escape clause, with 5 other cards in graveyard and Flage. Max is going to be able to bring that one back, and we see plenty of cards there, thanks to Brian, no doubt, helping with all these Thoughtseize type effects. And it looks like Max just going to nuke Brian down to 5 from here. Now, there is no Arena of Glory, so this Flage won't be super hasty, but if Brian doesn't find something like a March of Wretched Sorrow to gain life anger into this Flage, it could be looking like game 2.
Yeah, so, and Brian can really buffer his life total if he's able to land a Shouldered here. We know Max have a Subtlety in his hand, but no blue card to pitch it. We know both cards in Max hand is Subtlety and the One Ring. So Brian can really sneak in a Shoulder and just gain a bunch of life off of this Necrodomiance.
So we see Brian looking at the cards that Max did exile. Like you said, Brian has full knowledge of what's in Max's hand.
Judge.
Looks like Brian thought he was still in his upkeep, but decided to draw a card when actually he had gone into his first main phase.
You also cannot draw under the effect of Necrodomiance. Necrodomiance skip your draw phase and reduce your life total, reduce your hand size to 5. So I don't believe Brian saw the card, but he did pick it up. So we'll just have going to be a judge call here.
Did this like touch anything else? Okay. Alright, so we're gonna do the following. We will
see Judge Brandon here giving the ruling. Just gonna listen in to see what he does.
Okay. Alright, so shuffle this with the random portion of the deck.
So what's happening is Brian's going to be shuffling that card back into the deck, making sure it's sufficiently randomized, and I think that's going to be a warning for Brian here.
Probably. So everybody's kind of muscle memory, untap, upkeep, draw doesn't happen when you have Necrodominance. So maybe Brian's dreams of the Necropotence were a little bit skewed. The fact he thought he could draw, but good reminder diving.
Yeah, now Brian, don't want that to happen again after you receive a warning. So we are in an RCQ, so this is a competitive rule enforcement level. So things are a little bit tighter. You gotta pay a little bit more attention. No takesy-backsy here.
Yeah. So thankfully, though, Brian did not see the card, so the judge was able to just say, shuffle that, you get a warning. Brian, taking his normal turn now, did wind up having a couple of extra cards in hand just thanks to the fact that he could draw at the end of turn from Necrodominance and now has the current 5 in hand. Can't quite see what Brian has in hand there. I see a One Ring, I don't see any Soul Spikes, and I don't think I saw a March of Wretched Sorrow.
Yeah, so Brian doesn't look like he have a way to gain life here. One Ring will buy him a turn. Oh, I see a shoulder.
Okay.
So, just passes the turn.
So he's got to have something, otherwise he's just dead on board, right?
Yeah, this is lethal on board, so I'm surprised to see Brian just not play that shouldered out.
So maybe there is like a March or something in hand that Brian is banking on here, but then untapping into open mana against the blue deck?
Oh, so here comes Soul Spike, I believe? Oh, no, that's one of the new MDFC that just destroyed a creature, I believe.
Oh, okay, that's the Modern Horizons 3-1. It's the, not the shock land variety, the uncommon.
Yeah.
Yep, no, I agree, but let's do
There it is, Fell the Profane.
Oh, Fell the Profane. So, destroy target creature planeswalker for 4 mana. Pretty overcosted, but being a land on the other side, also a pitch card for Soul Spike and Grief. It's exactly what this Necrodominance needs, and come in handy when your opponent, half of your opponent's hand.
Yeah, well, the other half is on the battlefield currently, which is the One Ring, so Max is going to be throwing that one down. Looks like on Brian's turn, it is going to be Sheolder being played, but we knew about that subtlety, and there's a counterspell being pitched to that, so now Brian is tapped out.
Yeah, I was surprised when Brian didn't play the shoulder when he had known information that Max doesn't have a pitchable card to subtlety. Shoulder could have gained him some life and potentially trade with the Flave if Max decided to crash in. But now Brian's just getting punished for holding on to that shoulder.
Yeah, and the thing is too, with the Necrodominance too, Brian knows that when you activate the Necrodominance, you pay 1 life, but Shoulder will then gain you 2 life. So in theory, you're gaining 1 life for every single one of those Necrodominance draws. So there was an opportunity for Brian to be put out of lethal range there. Went to just kind of get rid of the threat of the Flage. But if Max is able to just play like a Tune the Narrative or some sort of 1-mana spell here, that Flage is just coming back.
Yeah, so Flage, a fetch land would put it back and put Brian in a really bad position where he's be down to 2 life, and even with the shoulder, he would just go back to 2 with the draw trigger. So
looks like one of the other cards in Brian's hand is another copy of Fell the Profane, so it does have an answer to Hardcast Flage, or sorry, Escape Flage, but does not have an answer to any other sort of things that Flage would be able to do afterwards.
Yeah,
Looks like Brian's just gonna pass it up there, as Max looks like he had the last land that he just put into his graveyard there. So game number 1 going over to Jeskai Control.
yeah, so Brian conceded into the draw 4 from the One Ring. Yeah, I think that was a huge misplay not to play that shouldered out into known information and an empty board. But now going to sideboarding, what do you think Necrodominance is sideboarding here? I'm not too familiar with the deck.
So the Necrodominance deck will be, it's obviously a Mono Black deck, so you're going to wind up having a bunch of potential options for additional, like, attacking the opponent's hand. So trying to get rid of ways to get rid of the One Ring in certain ways, so that because you don't have the artifact destruction in the mono black colors. If Brian is still running the Grief Scam package of the deck as well, you're probably just going to wind up seeing him probably sideboard very lightly. We could maybe see some sort of surgical extraction effect coming in if Brian really fears the Flage or thinks that the deck is going to be taking a little bit longer to kind of get its engine going. But on the side of the mono black deck with Necrodomiance, you're not really, this is like a good matchup for you, so you're not really going to be trading too many cards out because the other decks control.
So what I've found is actually Thoughtseize effect are not that great against these Flage deck, where you could discard their cards, but then you're just fueling up the Flage, and if you discard the Flage, they just get to play it back.
Which is probably why we may see like some sort of surgical extraction or something like that effect coming out from Brian's side, but we will have to see. Meanwhile, on Max's side, with the Jeskai Control deck, you're playing up against the mono black deck, you're playing against a deck that's going to be thought seizing and griefing the crap out of you, and you know that there's a Necrodomiance on the other side you have to deal with. So what are you bringing in?
So I've seen force counter magic is very powerful against this, especially free counter magic, where you able to develop your threat and have free counter magic for your opponent's threat. So something like Force of Negation. If Max isn't main decking a full playset, potentially see a full playset coming in here. Maybe, I know some Jeskai lists play Narset in the sideboard. Super powerful card against Necrodomiance, as well as the One Ring, which Brian is also playing. And maybe some more amount of threats, because the Jeskai Control deck is very threat light. And like you said, if Surgical Extraction hit the Flage, you may be out of threat very, very quickly. Because Subtlety and Solitude doesn't really put up a clock, and the Solitude doesn't have great targets against Necrodomiance, so we might see them coming out as well.
Alright, so players have reset their life totals. Looks like Max is just shuffling up for game number 2. We'll have to see how this one winds up going. Now, Max was on the play last game. Looks like Brian on Necrodomiance will be on the play in game number 2 because of that, so Necrodomiance is obviously going to have these very explosive possibilities. Like, is Brian's best option here to grief scam, get 2 cards out of Max's deck hand, and then kind of take over from there?
Yeah, absolutely. Against a control deck, if you get to start with 2 more cards, technically, against your control opponent, it's a huge advantage. And being able to play with known information is really powerful for a pseudo combo deck like Brian's. Taking away the option to either counterspell or maybe something like a card advantage engine like the One Ring or a threat like Flage. It's really powerful.
Okay, so we'll see here. It looks like both opponents shuffled up and drew. Brian going to pitch down to 6. Max kind of cocks his head. Looking to see, looks like a 7 keep here for Max. So Brian going down to 6, like you said, not the worst thing in the world. When you're a pseudo combo deck like Brian is, you're probably going to be looking for one of those more powerful Grief Scam hands. If you have Grief Scam, pitch card, 2 lands, Necrodomiance, that's probably a keeper right there.
Yeah, that's definitely a keeper, and probably one of the more powerful hand that can produce as well. There's also the thing about Necrodomiance is the quality of cards the deck play is not super high, so a lot of them are lands that are also spells. So you really want something really powerful in the first couple of turns to help you get to the later turn against these control decks. Look like Brian's going to 5.
So you were talking about card quality in the deck. Unfortunately, Brian finding 6 cards was still not enough quality. So now this is something that, if you're familiar with like the Rakdos Scam deck, it happens. You have very powerful powerful 5-card hand still in this kind of deck. Now, the one downside is that you're not normally in this Necrodominance deck. If you don't have Necrodominance, you don't have like the Fable, the Mirror Breakers, and the Ragavans that the old Scam deck had to recoup some of that lost card advantage that you're doing by mulliganing.
Yeah, so you're really looking for your Necrodominance or your One Ring to really help you bridge up the card disadvantage from mulliganing. Look like Brian will keep this 5-card hand. That's deciding what, going back to the bottom here.
It's going to be really hard to go down to 4. Even as much as this deck can potentially mulligan well, you don't really want to be going down to only a land and a couple of cards against a deck that's going to be packing a ton of counter spells and interactions.
Yeah, and Grief might not be enough either, because once they get to Flage can just kill them.
Yeah, like if Brian keeps a Grief Scam hand and Max just kind of reveals like a couple of lands, Attune the Narrative, and a Flage, that's not good for Brian, because then you don't even really want to scam your Grief, because then you have to take the Flage, and if there's a couple of fetch lands, Max is just like a couple turns away from putting that on the battlefield.
Yeah. So it looks like Brian will lightning bolt himself.
Very easily, quickly down to 13, maybe even going a little bit further with a Thought Seize here, so losing 5 life on turn 1. Common life for a Mono Black Mage.
So we see a Flage, couple of lands. None of them are fetch lands, so this Flage might be coming out a little bit slower.
Yeah, this looks like a little bit of a more normal kind of thing. It's a Flage and a One Ring coming out from Max's hand. Unfortunately, a little bit of a glare on the screen, which we'll try to get fixed in between rounds. But Brian really thinking about this one, because putting Flage in the graveyard with no fetch lands seems pretty good, but this is a control deck that's running like 20-something lands, and however many of them, like a third of them are fetch lands, so probably also most likely Max's most likely top deck.
Yeah, and there's also a Force of Negation, so if Brian's really banking on one of his big card advantage engine, maybe taking this Force of Negation is an option to make sure he can cash back up from the mulligan.
Now it looks like dress
take
down.
the dress down.
Yeah, so that already kind of just speaking volumes to the fact that Brian wants to maybe be able to get a Grief off or something, because Grief will be able to be evoked with the dress down and won't have to sacrifice, but you don't actually hit anything in Max's hand, and a 4/3 Menace is not the scariest thing in the world.
And it's a 3/2 because it doesn't get...
Oh yeah, because it doesn't get the +1/+1 counter.
It doesn't get the +1/+1 counter. Also, we can see a really powerful combo in Max's hand with the dress down if he got to keep it, because you can go turn 2 dress down, turn 3 Flage. You don't get the initial Flage trigger, but you just pay 3 mana for a 6/6 that's gonna kill your opponent in like 2 turns.
You still get the attack trigger too, and so Brian doesn't have an immediate answer on it mulligan 5. That Flage will just completely take over the game. So just the Surveil and throwing a Lorien reveal down into the graveyard here from Max.
I'm surprised that Lorien reveal hit the graveyard, because we know Max is on a two land hand, and that Lorien reveal was representing a 3rd mana for the Flage. So prismatic ending here on the Doughty Voidwalker. Doughty Voidwalker very powerful against Flage. Flage is gonna just kill it, but yeah.
Looks like Brian just Phyrexian Tower passed. So we're past the part of the mulligan where having no lands is an issue. Now we're at the part of the mulligan where maybe all we have is lands.
I think so too. Making 4 land drops on a mulligan to 5 is a little bit concerning. Brian might be low on actual playable spells. And knowing that Max has a Force of Negation in his hand, kind of tough for Brian to resolve anything.
Yeah, Brian's hand was just Necrodominance right now, and like was banking on that to refuel his hand. As you mentioned, the Force of Negation from Max's side is just absolutely preventing that right now, and taking that dress down means that I'm less likely to think that he has that, and it might be something a little bit different from Brian's side, but see, Max, end of turn, Max just cracking a fetch land. We'll see what we wind up getting. There was a land that came into play untapped, that Hallowed Fountain there. Pretty looking one. That wound up shocking Max for 2 last turn that we saw him catching up on.
Yeah, Shotgun and basically just representing Counterspell. Also, he did play the prismatic ending last year as well.
Yeah, he had to do that onto that Dothy Voidwalker. Having the Dothy also would have been very powerful against trying to play Flage, because as soon as that has the sacrifice clause, it goes under the Dothy Voidwalker, so that will just not be able to escape later.
It would just kill the Dothy Voidwalker first, but yeah, some Graveyard Hate is pretty good against the Jeskai Control deck. Also, sometimes you Dothy Voidwalker just do your opponent's counterspell, so you as a Mono Black deck can win the counterspell war, which is very funny. I had that happen to me when I was playing Frog Tie against Brian.
So it looks like Max cracking a fetch, shocking in as well. So that's a representative for mana here. Let's see who wants it playing. Looks like just the One Ring. So this is kind of standard fare for the Jeskai deck. Now that the One Ring is online, this is usually when you start thinking like, okay, the Jeskai deck is, if they weren't already kind of turning the corner, this is going to push them over the edge.
Yeah, so this is where the Jeskai usually turn the corner. Max I don't think is turning the corner. It's just trying to pull ahead. And here's the Force Negation that we know about. Brian kind of got forced to play out that One Ring if he doesn't want to fall too far behind, and I think he's just falling like super far behind at this point.
Yeah, unfortunate for Brian. Mulligan to 5. Had a couple of pieces, but it weren't the right pieces to deal with what Max was presenting from their side of the battlefield. So we just see Flage comes down. That's going to be a Lightning Helix up and a Lightning Helix down on Brian's side. Now that we have plenty of cards in the graveyard too, if there's an Arena of Glory on Max's side, this is probably just lights out.
Yeah, and Brian's in a pretty tough spot because Max now also representing Counterspell with 2 open mana here. Just super difficult to push anything through this Jeskai Control deck.
Oh, is this the Bogart Trawler?
Yeah, so Bogart Trawler. So playing as a creature to potentially get rid of this Flage in the graveyard, but consigned to memory.
Ooh, counters the trigger.
Counter the trigger. And now Flage is free to come back from the graveyard. And Max is looking to close out this round 1 in a 2-0 fashion. Pretty dominance from Max here.
Yeah, so we do have Flage in graveyard, so that represents a Lightning Helix trigger on Brian. There doesn't look like there's an Arena of Glory on Max's side, though, so we won't have hasty, immediately kill you Flage damage, and there's a blocker still. So even then, Flage wouldn't be able to deal the full 12 damage. But it is going to be a bit of a pickle for Brian to try to get out of.
Yeah, just going straight to the face here. So Max is checking if he
Oh, you're right. That's my mistake.
forgot the oh, Brian just double checking life total to see if he forgot to mark down the One Ring trigger.
Yeah, I was gonna say it looked like the One Ring life loss was not quite there for Brian's side, but this is a big draw step now. Looks like does find a One Ring, so if Max doesn't have an answer to this does buy some time for Brian. But Max does have a One Ring of his own, so that is going to be activating the One Ring. Ooh, untapping here, trying to draw additional cards.
So I think that the top land's a Manama,
Oh,
and
they
now a
find
Force and a pitch card. I think this might be lights out here if Max have a removal spell on that Bogart Trawler, which is very likely. Jeskai Control have about a
You can discharge it, you can Prismatic. And Prismatic Ending's a little bit harder since it's a 3-mana creature, but there's
You
all...
have 3 colors.
Yeah, you got all 3 colors here. Teferi Time Raveler is another removal spell, so that looks like it's going to lock it up. Max winds up coming away with that one. A clean 2-0 for Jeskai over the Necrodomiance deck.